Happy Monday morning, everybody. It is April 11 today. Yesterday was Palm Sunday. This coming Sunday is Easter Sunday. And we have Good Friday this Friday. So let's kind of dive in here. Let's get down to this. Then I've got some things I want to share with you. Not not a ton happening this week, other than I'm going to run eligibility, so I'll be connecting with some of you tomorrow regarding your availability for sports this week. And then eighth graders that are attending Denver Christian High School is tomorrow night at 7 is registration night. So you'll get to hear from teachers and choose your high school classes for the fall and all that good stuff. So you'll enter through the main lobby. Thursday we have chapel. I'm going to lead that. We'll have Good Friday's kind of scriptures and songs. And then there is a noon dismissal. It's a half day. And then Friday, no school because it is Good Friday. So a couple things about that. Your church may have a Monday, Thursday evening service. I know ours does. I'm going to do what I can to attend that. And then, of course, Easter Sunday as well. So breakout space and dining hall crew, Joe, Sophia McNeil, Josiah Skadden, Aspen Murphy, and Charlie. So Charlie Griffiths. So anyway, Joe, Sophia, Josiah, Aspen, and Charlie. Again, here's some calendar stuff happening. We kind of talked about that already. That's about it for as far as the business side of things. I think Chess Club has one more day, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Let's see. Sorry. Chess Club. Oh, today and next week, Monday. Today and next week, Monday, is Chess Club. All right. So Palm Sunday, this past Sunday, yesterday. Really. Actually, no, let me pause on that. Let me just share one thing about cell phones. I've been talking to some of you because I've noticed that you're just kind of walking around with your cell phone, or I see it at lunch. And the bottom line is they need to be in your locker. And if they're going to be on your person with you, whether your backpack or in your pocket, I'm just going to start. Those will turn into kind of morning detentions. If we see it before break detention, it'll be that day. If not, it will be the next day. So please put them in your lockers. Don't sneak them. I mean, really, come on. We're better than that. So there was a study done by, there's a ton of these studies, but this one in particular was done by the University of Texas, and they did a study with 800 students, and I'd always kind of heard and I read a bunch about this, but I wanted to find a study that would kind of share this. So they did a study. It had three groups. They brought students into a room to perform some tasks. They had a group that had their phone next to them on the desk. They had their phone in a bag. So in other words, it would be like your backpack, in a bag next to them. And then another group came into the room, but they left their phone in another room. In other words, the equivalent to our locker. The bottom line is the folks that had it on their desk performed the worst. The next worst was in the bag next to them, and the least worst, the best group was the one that had their phone in another room. In other words, for us, it would be in our locker. So in other words, the closer it is to you, the worse they perform, the worse you perform. The crazy part is they asked the students, how do you think this is going to impact you? And essentially all the students said, no, it's not going to bother me at all to have my phone on my desk or in my bag. And the reality is the study proved that those that, in our case, had them in their locker performed the best on different tasks. So it's not just a rule for a rule's sake. There's a reason that we do not have our phones with you. Okay? Again, the closer the phone was to the person, the worse they perform. The farther away, in other words, for us it would be in our locker, the better these students performed on their tasks. So let me reiterate, your phones need to remain in your locker. If we catch them, you will get a break detention. More than once, we'll just move it to a morning detention. I hate to be sort of a negative here, but it's just not an option. I want the phone in another room, in other words, in your locker. I want the phone in your locker, not near you, so that we can focus as best we can. All right. So Palm Sunday. Yesterday, there was a sentence here that was on the front of our bulletin that was really good. And then I'm going to just share a couple of my thoughts on my takeaways from Pastor Joel's sermon yesterday. So it says, we are a family of God, living our faith and growing by joyfully surrendering to Jesus, freely sharing our lives, and humbly embracing the hurting. That's just on the front here. And I've seen it before, but it just kind of jumped out at me. So Pastor Joel's focus was on Luke 19. Started at verse 28 and went through 44. But basically about Jesus and when he rides into Jerusalem on a donkey. And his point was, when we think of a king, right, we often refer to Jesus and God, as our king. We think of this huge majesty and this parade and soldiers surrounding and all these people, and on this big fancy, the analogy or the story that Pastor Joel said was like on this huge horse and just the pageantry. And yet our king rides into Jerusalem on a donkey, just humble. Not this huge parade, not this big powerful horse and thousands of soldiers, but just humbly entered. And it's not what we would expect a king to arrive on, and yet our king did. Another thing that he shared was, when you think of kings, they have weapons and armies and swords and shields and all the cannons and whatever. And yet our king, his weapon is a cross. He established his reign through a cross, not a sword. He overcame death with a cross, not a sword. And when Jesus rose again, the resurrection was, it's kind of a vindication. The most powerful ruler, the vindication over death. And so anyway, I could go on and on. It was a really great sermon. Pastor Joel was on fire yesterday. It was just wonderful. The bottom line is, our King, our God, is a humble God. And his weapon to defeat death is a cross. And often the cross is seen as a sign of weakness, and yet it's strong enough. It's the ultimate strength to overcome death. So anyway, as we kind of go day over day here through Easter week and leading up to Easter, have that in mind. We walk humbly, and we remember that God did not use big, giant cannons and weapons, but Jesus was humble, came in on a donkey, and used the cross as a weapon to defeat death. Anyway, have a great day. Remember this time of year. This is a special time of year. Love you all. Have a great week. We'll see you in the halls and the classrooms. Bye.